Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel, the Leo from Jersey Tarot once again. The Jersey Leo Tarot! This is so crazy. I created my YouTube channel earlier today and I detailed in a video entitled, "If you're seeing this, you are chosen by Spirit." I detailed in that video that I felt called by Spirit to start a YouTube channel because of everything that was going on in the atmosphere, more specifically the Pluto, Mercury, new moon, and Uranus conjunction in Aquarius, where I correctly predicted earlier today that more mass transit deaths would occur. I got the news about Philly, about a plane crash occurring in Philly around 2 hours ago while I was out and about with friends, and it basically ruined and somehow made my night at the same time, because in it, my best friend who lives in Philly, first of all, I was scared for her life, so I was scared out of my mind because she texted me that she showed me a video in it that she could see the fires emanating from the shopping mall that the plane burst into in the center of Philly, and it was literally within 5 miles of where she lives. And one of my other best friends lives out there and immediately texted me right after on some, "Did you see this?" And how crazy is it that in that video from earlier today, I literally specify that Spirit, that God called me to do this reading, to do that reading from earlier today about the collective energies from the universe and about mass transit deaths on the very same day that more would occur. And that I was literally explaining to you, my viewer, what Uranus, Pluto, and Mercury all in conjunction, which means within 5-degree orbs, really within 10 degrees is really when they get activated, but within a 5-degree orb of each other, where Mercury stands for transit, Uranus stands for strange happenings and is also a higher octave of Mercury, so travel, and Pluto is the great upheaval, it's death, it's transformation. So literally crazy mass transit death. Like, I was literally explaining that earlier in my video, so I cannot believe it, but my first ever psychic video on YouTube, literally from today, is already a correct hit prediction. So that is just insane, but can be so dark because I don't ever want you to think that I'm like happy that these people died to have proved my abilities right. That is not at all the case. In fact, in this moment, I thought the only righteous and like good, responsible thing to do before maybe pulling more tarot about this, it would be to return to my Journey of Souls book from Dr. Michael Newton. This is from the 90s. And to say that in this book, he would regress his patients into a place where they were back in the soul realm. He would go back through their life into their mother's womb and into the soul realm in hypnosis, once he put his clientele into hypnosis. And he would do it with, there's something like 60 different patients that he takes the cases of over the course of a few different books. This is his second book, I think. And in this book, I wanted to go ahead and bring up a section. Hopefully you will, indulge me. He specifically details in this book about how some of the souls, when it can feel so absolutely painful to lose people that we, it can be so difficult to lose people to what we consider to be tragical deaths. It can feel so painful and unnecessary and unwarranted, and can make you have moments like that where that can be the moment that you're like, God, why? Does God even exist? Blah, blah, blah. If they let people die like this in such crazy, tragic ways. Well, what if I told you that actually the souls that had passed away on any of these big happenstance events knew that that was going to happen to them in the spirit world. They agreed to that. They consented to that life, which can be so difficult to hear and understand. But in those moments where you feel bereft of, is it the chicken or the egg? Like, what came first of these people? Especially when the astrology in the universe seems to point at these deaths occurring. Like in my other video, I detail how literally the mass transit had gone down on my way into New York City for a job on Tuesday. And once I got to New York City, someone jumped in front of the one train and unfortunately passed away. And that ended up canceling all the one trains for the afternoon. And then the very next day is when the helicopter crash occurred, which is what led me to be like, that's it. I have to speak about this because this is just going to continue happening while this astrology is occurring, and it is just proving itself right. That astrology is correct, is a divination tool given also by God for us to be able to detail what's to come. But that does not mean in those moments when you see that those things are occurring, like these Mercury and Uranus and Pluto and the new moon in Aquarius are all together, which is creating this dark kind of, loss of life feeling. It can make you say, what came first, the chicken or the egg? What if it was me? What if I was on that plane? What if someone I knew was on that plane or something? And maybe someone you do know was on those planes or on those. But it's times like these where I say that, again, just like I said in the previous video, almost cavalierly, I apologize, that we figured out from spirit that certain things need to occur in a certain timeline to wake the collective up. And it can be so hard to grasp that the chicken really did come before the egg in this case, in that the grown souls of these people that have lived through, and I'm talking about their rebirth souls that have lived through reincarnation and reincarnation and reincarnation in the above, in heaven. They have all agreed, knowing that they would go to Earth, live the lives that they had, and that they would be short. And remember, there are different reasons for that, different karmic reasons, different things that maybe their soul needed to learn from a shortened life. Maybe their soul would be agreed to be given a better next life, or they had a good previous life, so they knew that in this one, they had to karmically even out. Now, that can feel so cut and dry and hard to grasp, but it's something that is so beautifully touched upon in this book. And I'm going to pull up the section. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video, and then I'm going to figure out what section it is because I pulled it aside, and I'll read you the section so you can get a good idea from Dr. Michael. Don't take it from me. Take it from Dr. Michael Newton. Okay. Here is a reading from chapter 13, Choosing a New Body, and then we'll talk a bit about it. This is by Dr. Michael Newton from Journey of Souls. In the place of life selection, and in this, he's referring to the section of heaven where the souls, once they have properly gone over their previous soul and they're ready to reincarnate and join a new body, where they meet with their spirit guide and are shown options for what their next incarnation might be. In the place of life selection, our souls preview the lifespan of more than one human being within the same time cycle. When we leave this area, most souls are inclined toward one leading candidate presented for us for soul occupation. However, our spiritual advisors give us ample opportunity to reflect upon all we have seen in the future before making a final decision. This chapter is devoted to the many elements that go to that decision. Our deliberations over body alternatives actually begin before we go to the place of life selection. Souls do this in order to adequately prepare themselves for viewing certain people in different cultural settings on Earth. I sense those souls who set up the screening room know in advance what to show us because of these thoughts in our minds. Great care must be taken in choosing just the right body to serve us in the life to come. As I have said, guides and peer group members are part of this evaluation process, both prior to and after we visit the place of life selection. When listening to my subjects describe all the preparations that go into picking a new physical body, I am constantly reminded at the fluidity of spiritual time. Our teachers use relative future time in the place of life selection to allow souls to measure human usefulness for working on unfinished lesson plans. Blueprints for the next life vary in the degree of difficulty the soul mind sets
for itself. If we have just come off an easy life, making little interpersonal progress, our soul might want to choose a person in the next time cycle who will face heartache and perhaps tragedy. It is not out of the ordinary for me to see someone who has skated through an unchallenging life, overloading themselves with turmoil in the next one to catch up with their learning goals. The soul mind is far from infallible as it works in conjunction, there's that word again, with a biological brain. Regardless of our soul level, being human means we will all make mistakes and have the necessity of engaging in mid-course corrections during our lives. This will be true with any body we select. And my friend and I both suggested that we believe that to be the importance of Saturn returns in your life, which is around the 30 and 60 year mark, that you have 3 years where Saturn returns to the place it was in your natal chart. And that's considered the great maturity cycle, where you're forced to put certain set pegs in the stand and stand on business about what you've learned and how you've grown up. Before taking up more complex mental factors in a soul's decision to join up with the brain of a human baby, I will begin with the physical aspects of body choice. Despite the fact that our souls know in advance what they're going to look like, a national survey in the United States indicated 90% of both males and females were dissatisfied with the physical characteristics of their bodies. This is the power of conscious amnesia. Much unhappiness is created by society, stereotyping an ideal appearance, yet this too is part of a lesson's plan, a soul's lesson plan. How many times have we all looked in the mirror and said, is this the real me? Why do I appear this way? Am I in a body where I belong? These questions are especially poignant when the type of body we have prevents us from doing things we think we ought to be able to do in life. I have had a number of clients who come to me convinced their bodies prevented them from achieving satisfying lives. Many handicapped people think if it were not for a genetic mistake or being the victim of an accidental injury that damaged their body, their lives would be more fulfilled. As heartless as this may sound, my cases show few real accidents involving body damage that don't fall under a soul's free will. As souls, we choose our bodies for a reason. Living in any body does not necessarily have to involve a karmic debt we are paying off living in a damaged body because of past life responsibility for an injury to someone else. It can involve a learning path to another type of lesson. All decisions that have been made in your life or in others' lives can be chalked up for a number of reasons. Even if we can't see them immediately, they are part of the grand scheme. Specifically, I wanted to read one more section. Thank you, Spirit. I love the train confirmation. Regardless of what physical or mental tools are used through the use of many bodies, the laws of karma will prevail. If the soul chooses one extreme, somewhere down the line, this will be counterbalanced by an opposite choice to even out development. By surviving different challenges, our soul's identity is strengthened. The word strength should not be misunderstood. My subjects say the real lessons of life are learned by recognizing and coming to terms with being human. Even as victims, we are beneficiaries because it is how we stand up to failure and duress that really marks our progress in life. Sometimes one of the most important lessons is to just let go of the past. While souls carefully consider the physical attributes of an earth body in a variety of cultural settings, they give much more attention to the psychological aspects of human life. This decision is the most vital part of the entire selection process for the soul. Before entering the place of life selection, it is to a soul's advantage to ponder the factors of heredity and environment which affect how a biological life form will function. I have heard that a soul's spiritual energy has a fluctuating influence on whether the temperament of its human host will be extroverted or introverted, rationalistic or idealistic, emotional or analytically dominated. Because of such variables, souls need to reflect in advance on the types of bodies that will serve them the best to come. And this is known by their guides and those masters charged with operating the life selection stations. I know that this is really quite lofty and can be difficult to grasp, but it just really boils down to the idea that everything is decided pre-decided ahead. And sometimes the decisions, he also goes on to state how sometimes the decisions are not just for you, they can also directly influence those around. Because think about the communities that belong to all the people within all those plane accidents, you know, all of them, you know, and their brothers and their sisters and their parents and their children, or their cousins or their friends. Or think of the butterfly effect that accidents such as these have, and what the overall outcome, even though it might not be clear right now, what could be learned in the future from these mistakes. Sometimes the toughest way out is through. And as I said before, you know, angels, for example, are not always just sweet and cute and coddling and cuddly. Sometimes they are avenging often, and they are wrathful, and they teach lessons and protect. And sometimes I think it would be better for us to look at human lives closer to that kind of edginess and thrashfulness, and less to this soft place. But we can bring ourselves to this soft place once we have made peace with all the other things. I was literally listening to the video that I made earlier, because I kind of couldn't believe that I had such a direct one-to-one download. And I was driving home from my friend's house, I wasn't at my friend's house, I apologize. We were at a group event where we actually all get together once a month, and we perform through a musical for each other in kind of a wonderful homage to each other. We get together as a group, and with a pianist and sometimes a band, and we just sing together in a volunteer group and have fun and enjoy each other's company and laugh and praise and sing. And I was driving home, and I was listening to a certain part of the video where I specifically gave a detail where I remember from my Catholic school youth about how Archangel Michael dove from out of heaven to save all the souls from hell. That's a story that was embedded into my brain when I was young, about how when Jesus was on earth, ascended Master Jesus, when he walked earth, thank you again, Spirit, for the confirmation, when he walked earth, the gates of heaven were closed. So there's these incredible paintings of the Archangel Michael after Jesus dies going down into hell and taking all the souls that should have been in heaven back out of hell with Jesus and rising up. And how it can feel so bereft when you're like, you could feel so left alone and lost. But once you ask for consent for direct intervention and direct help from your guides above, they give it. And I look to my left, and in front of my face, no shit, is this huge painting in the middle of New Jersey of the Archangel Michael. I couldn't believe it. I was listening to myself talk about the Archangel Michael, and I looked to my left, and there he was, this giant just image of him. And I just thought, oh my God, Spirit is all around us. Spirit has a hand in everything. We are so fooled to think that we are alone, or that these decisions have left us alone, like we've been abandoned by Spirit, like we've been left to our own devices, when in actuality it is the opposite. The chicken is before the egg. Do you understand? The chicken is before the egg. All of these decisions were pre-made by Spirit to best help everyone. They are to the benefit of everyone involved, which can feel so cavalier and painful. I know, to especially say in any way that death could be to benefit, but just to know in the times of grief, when the only thing that you can do is console yourself, to know that at the end of the day, you will be rejoined with these people again. You will see your friends again that you have lost. You will everything. And think about all the lessons that you have learned from exact same situations of grief and empathy, and how to extend that to other people. How it so painfully, we are expected as souls to continue crashing our head through the brick wall of choice in this life, and we just have to keep healing, learning and healing. The door downstairs keeps slamming. I know Spirit is being so serious with me right now because he's coming up and downstairs right now. I hate when Spirit does that, but it does that to spook me because he knows I'm telling the truth. Anyway, so hopefully that brought some comfort, and we can all learn, I think, from the journey of souls, literally, no pun intended, but the literal journey of souls, and how the ripple effects of grief touch everyone in these cases, and can teach us all lessons, even when it feels like you have nothing left. And just feel also that karma will always pay itself forward. These people will be given amazing lives in the future, or they lived amazing lives. Everything ends up evening out for our greatest soul benefit and learning, which is really wonderful. So I'm just going to take some final tarot to close out the night. Tomorrow is February 1st, which is so crazy, but I just feel like we've been through such an amazing journey together already, shockingly, even though I only started this tonight. But so Spirit, do you have any final closing things that you'd like to say? Or anything that you'd like to say about Philly? I get the feeling Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Chamuel, Archangel Haniel, Archangel Zadkiel, Archangel Zechariah, and Azrael, the Archangel of Death. Do you have anything that you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to say? Wow, Queen of Wands. This was exactly the same message, I'm spooked, that Spirit gave earlier. That the point of humanity right now, we all need to reclaim our power. We all need to alchemize this pain. We need to see it for what it is, and we need to journey ahead. We need to look into the systems that wrought down these people to begin with. We need to question everything. Like, I was even finding myself wondering while I was driving, like, what is Spirit trying to say? Like, are we trying to draw attention? Like, why are we doing so much midair travel? Why are we, focusing on those? Are people cutting corners at their jobs, which is how we are leading to issues? What specifically are we drawing attention to? And Spirit keeps pointing attention, ironically, to reclamation of power and alchemizing of pain, being confident and learning from these mistakes. Anything else, Spirit? Yeah, just that there's been a lack of true focus, and a break and refresh is needed. We've been overwhelmed, we've been manipulated, we've been abused, things have been obsessive. I couldn't help but think that this was true. I kept getting this image earlier, this idea of like, Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. We can't even manage to solidify the transit that we have on Earth right now and get things right. And so I really think in these times that Spirit is trying to refocus us in a place that we really need to be, that we have been underachieving in places that we could absolutely be growing, such as on Earth, dealing with the issues that we have, rather than what's a good word? Rather than rather than staking out other planets, rather than not claiming other planets. What's the word that I would use for conquesting, stealing more land than we already have. This is about maturity. This is about self-acceptance. This is about conscious decisions. This is about things that we all as a collective, like, look at this, King of Cups reversed, Page of Pentacles reversed. So not for money, it's not emotional, and what's worse is it's got us trapped in our minds. There's this place, we are in this Pluto Aquarius realm where all the issues, all the cracks in our collective, in our society, are going to be brought forward first, and that is what Spirit wants us to look at. That is the point. And in these moments of pain, and in these moments of grief, in these moments where we are going Makopa and asking ourselves, why did this have to happen? The answer is simply so we all work towards a better collective where we refocus, rechannel, recenter, and see the utopia that we could turn humanity into, where we finally manage to make heaven match earth. Oh, okay, I've saged the space. I feel really good about that message. That's where I want to leave you for tonight. If I have more thoughts, I obviously will come back on and make a new video. But thank you so much for listening. Let's all empower each other and be kind and be careful over the next few weeks with these conjunctions. They definitely mean upheaval is currently occurring, which is so ironic because I know that the reading from this made things seem so hunky-dory earlier, but this is really can be in your personal life, can also be happening while these while these things on the grand stage are occurring. These two things can occur, and that really also is the power and beauty of Spirit, that you can be protected and pray for your own, protection to your spirit guides and your ancestors and your particular angels and people. You can specifically ask them to cover you while all this is also occurring on the grand stage, for our own good. Painfully. Thank you so much, Grand Rising, and I will see you all tomorrow.